What's up, everyone? Welcome. Good morning. Happy Saturday to everyone. Welcome to another live stream where we are going to take a look at the market, try to see what happened last week and predict what we may expect for next for the week ahead. Basically, we are going to go through FX pairs, indices, commodities, and a little bit of crypto as well at the end. Feel free to recommend any level that you are looking for. What is your bias for next week? Because that's basically the meaning of this live stream. It's for us to discuss together opportunities for the week ahead. So I do one every Saturday. I do this session every Saturday. So feel free to comment along the way. And if you do have any questions, feel free to also ask them at the end. This may be the last stream before the end of the year. Okay, next week basically we are into Christmas, and then it's going to be New Year's. The week that just finished was most likely the busiest week of the last busiest week of the year, where we had FOMC, BOE, ECB, CPI data in the US, manufacturing services PMI yesterday also being announced across the world. So the big data came out, the big boys, they spoke, and let's see now what's going to happen throughout the rest of the year, right? It's basically 2 weeks away from the end of the year. It's that time of the season or time of the year to start actually reviewing your own performance, what went well, what didn't go so well, what you'd like to improve, to define some goals as well for 2024. You can split them either by quarter or month as well. So that's something that's this time of the year to do so. Yeah, that's a little bit of what I'll be doing as well, aside from other news that eventually I'll be sharing, where I'm going to be creating and already creating a Discord group for us to be able to work together, but I'll be announcing more about it in the future. And also you're going to start seeing much more of me in 2024, because I'm going to be sharing much more content, more videos. So yeah, I'm enthusiastic about it as well. So again, what happened, right? So in terms of the big news, as I mentioned, we had CPI slightly better than, kind of in alignment with what was expecting. We had a little bit of those the volatility in that moment. Then in the UK, we also had unemployment and GDP much worse than expected, which kind of raised a little bit of the concern for a potential recession in the UK in 2024. We'll see if that's going to happen or not. But then the main point was with FOMC, BOE, and ECB, right? So what we had, again, all of them, they kept the rates unchanged, so that was expected already. The main point was that the Fed, during the FOMC meeting, the Fed Chair Powell, for the first time, mentioned that they are open for any possibility, and by any is opening the door for rate cuts. Okay, so that was one of the questions that they asked the meeting before, and all of them said, by all of them, I mean the FOMC, ECB, BOE mentioned that there was no, the topic around rate cuts was still not on top of the table. But for the FOMC last Wednesday, they start to consider that situation, and the market reacted super enthusiastic towards it. Initially, before the meeting, the first expectation for the Fed to cut rates, it was predicted to be in May, and all of a sudden now it's going to be already in March. As you can see in here, this is the expectation, what the market is expecting from the Fed in terms of interest rates. And there you go, expecting for the first rate back in March. Before the meeting, it was in May. You can literally see it in here. Basically 50% chance of still remaining the same 1 week ago. Now the 52% goes into into the rate cut, and also looking ahead for the end of the year. Initially, the Fed was expecting, or the market was expecting before the meeting, to be at around 4 or 4.5%, basically a one full rate cut in 2024, but now the market is actually looking for 1.5, okay, go all the way to 4%. Again, this is, it's just the prediction. We'll see what's going to happen, and if that's going to exactly happen as it appears in here. But it's just to demonstrate how the market reacted to the FOMC meeting and how it celebrated, and that basically Dow managed to create all-time highs. We also had NASDAQ really close to all-time highs as well. S&P also continued to move higher, so yeah, it was reacted with enthusiasm. The dollar moved to the downside during that moment. Also the yields also moved to the downside in here. The main difference for ECB and BOE is that they are still not considering any rate cuts. Okay, that conversation was still not on the table. They are going to actually continue to be data dependent, to look at what the next data in terms of unemployment, CPI, also GDP and so on, is going to be to make a decision, especially in the UK, where the inflation is still quite high. In particular, the average wage earnings is still around 7.1%, which is way above actually the inflation at this point, and that number needs to go down to help actually eventually the inflation to reduce as well. So that's a little bit in terms of the data that we're having here. Next week, actually, I haven't even looked at it. All right, here we have BOG. That's interesting. After the big drop that we have seen, final GDP, and that's basically it in here. And then it's the end of the year in there. So what do they have in the market, right? So as we talked about it, like last week, we saw the dollar. It was somewhere in here at the beginning of the week, and we were looking for price to be around this range. Personally, I actually wanted to see price to go slightly higher, to be honest, before the move to the downside, but apparently it was enough just to fake out these highs. And here it kept respecting that level, and then basically this was the range that we were looking for. Okay, we mentioned that this could have been a kind of a good level to expect a reaction. It did. It was also that 618 Fibonacci level where this all kind of reacted from, but this was literally the main point. It was to see how price would react within this range. If it started going higher, then maybe we could start seeing a little bit more to the upside. If we continue to respect this level, then maybe the continuation to the downside was something to expect in this case. And that's exactly what happened. We initially a little bit with the CPI, and then with the FOMC just literally crashed all the way in here. Also with the ECB as well, like during the ECB, euro went to the upside, and that's actually basically where this dollar moved lower, which takes us a little bit more into this level. If we count that low, react a little bit from that structure. And personally, I was looking now for price to, and we talked about it as well, like, so we're looking for price eventually to get closer to this range in here, which basically takes us into this structure. And now we are literally reacting from this level in here. Okay, so basically it's the first reaction to the upside, kind of and then you have the retracement. So it's a bit of this structure, which was already kind of reacted by these two lows in here. So eventually I wanted to see the dollar index to go slightly lower, but for now apparently it still managed to respect. It took, again, as I mentioned, it took this low, it respected the one next to it, and it started moving to the upside. It was actually good PA on after the reaction from that level in here starts to create some interesting price action to potentially look for a long opportunity, or expect this long opportunity on the dollar, which then will take us into or back into this level in here. Okay, so this is basically the range that now we are looking for. A little bit in here, in particular, kind of this zone in here that broke the low, retested. So it's a little bit around this level where actually the dollar kind of is reacting from. And we can even go, by any chance, next week, if we go slightly higher, we can even maybe challenge these levels again in here. Is this the last zone, right? That's the question. Is this the low or the last low in here, or is there going to be more continuation to the downside? That's a little bit of the question that we can ask. Personally, I think we may go in this monthly time frame. It's actually quite of a good level, basically kind of reacting now into this bigger structure in here. So monthly time frame is quite good. personally, I would prefer to see price going slightly lower before that move. So I'm going to still be open for that possibility of price actually going even lower than where it reacted right now. But this is the range again, and we are going to be playing range by range at this point until, if we do get closer to the extreme of these lows, then could be a potential bigger one. Okay, but when we are in the middle, that's at least the approach I'm taking. It's more to trade range by range without the biggest expectation, and if by any chance there is an expectation of bigger target, and that's what I mean by expectation, is looking for the targets for where price may move or make the biggest move, it will be kind of in the direction of the overall trend, which at this point is still kind of bearish. Okay, so that will be until eventually price does get closer to here. That's a different story. But for now, it's just literally range by range at this point, and the range now it's basically a little bit like this in here, and in particular these lows can still hold price one more time somewhere in here. So that's a little bit of what to look for in here on the dollar. We also did mention last week that this was kind of already a break to the downside, which kind of opened the door into this compression. So eventually that could lead into the sell or to a bearish move. But yeah, personally, I was definitely still looking for price to go slightly higher. Price didn't really react from there. Again, there is something in here in the middle. That's basically where actually price ended up reacting from. Yeah, it is what it is. It's perfect. So that's kind of what we were looking for on the dollar, especially after this move to downside in here, which happened during the CPI. Okay, we had literally the break of this level, the break of this basically trend line in here as well. So that confirmed to start looking literally for those sells, which on the other side it start looking for longs on euro dollar in here. As we'll see on euro dollar, it played out exactly as we're expecting. As we kind of demonstrate, I'll demonstrate in a bit in there. So that's the dollar. Again, still in here, there's maybe more room to the downside, but can still bounce back into these previous highs from last week. So paying attention how price may open in here on Monday. Let's see what's going to happen in there. Then we have S&P. Okay, so S&P, it just continues to move to the upside, and reacting still a little bit within that or underneath that high, or maybe just slightly took that high in there. And second, yeah, I think it's still reacting from the high in here. And then there's maybe still a little bit of a next barrier that price could still respect before eventually taking and going into the all-time highs, which the Dow has already created during the FOMC meeting. We start having a little bit of a reversal setup in here again, because we are so close to all-time highs. It's a bit tricky. Price may still continue to go higher, but yes, we did have a little bit of a correction the day after the FOMC. It's an interesting PA around here, and maybe you can expect a little bit like that. Like you can maybe look for opportunities either for longs or shorts. Again, the longs are always maybe still the best option, but maybe perhaps first we are going to have some kind of retracement back into this new structure in here before the continuation, especially if you do break below this low. I think then we can go slightly more into this level in here before continuing to go higher in here. This was something also that we're paying attention to. Okay, we had broken that high from previous summer, and we're looking also for price to eventually use a little bit this level as a continuation. That's something that we also were looking for in here. Typical price action continuation for price to continue to rally in the same direction as the other indices. Again, the reaction was quite positive. Everyone is kind of celebrating victory over inflation. That's a little bit of how the market has been reacting. Fetcher Powell mentioned that no, this is still not time for celebrating, but he didn't. The way he said it, it was like more. It was not even meaning the words he was saying. But let's see. Like there's still a lot of issues into the US economy, which can lead to some surprises in here. Yes, challenge maybe to go higher, continue, and then we'll see if we do feel this range in here, this price at around this level. NASDAQ, more of the same, a little bit. Okay, so initially we kind of created this big move to the upside during the FOMC. there was a short in here. The price didn't really close the gap, it went higher, and now it kind of moved to the downside. In here, it closed a bit more of the gap. Again, there's maybe the extreme in here that is still fresh, but price kind of reacted from that level in there, so it's not that bad, and you're getting really close to the all-time highs. Okay, we got really close. We already even fake out this high in here. We're actually getting into that structure, and that's where we are at this point in here. Again, another break to the upside yesterday, before kind of turning a little bit again. Now we are looking at these lows as a level to pay attention to see if we are going to have a little bit more of a move to the downside or not. But again, this is still the range. Okay, so as long as kind of these lows keep holding price, and not even this one, I'm even looking at this one as well, there is a chance of price to continue to move higher in here, and that's basically what you'll be looking for on NASDAQ. Yeah, maybe continuation, and I believe that we are going to eventually take these highs, and we'll see maybe a little bit more of a rally, and then maybe only in January we are going to start noticing any kind of retracement. Dow has done it. Okay, so we are at all-time highs on the Dow Jones, getting really close to, or starting to approach that 38 mark in there. So after 2 years, it managed to break and to create new all-time highs. There was already kind of a good trend continuation setup. Price broke to the upside, retested it, went higher, and it starts to slow down a little bit. But again, the risk is still to continue to move higher, or the possibility is still to continue to move higher in here. Eventually we may have this range in here that we can also eventually feel. Be careful always with that previous level of resistance becoming support, which is the all-time high. But then we may have a little bit of this, and by any chance if you break below this level, then you start to going a little bit lower. But even if you do that, again, it's still quite strong. Price may just correct a little bit before eventually challenging for new highs. What you want to see now, if by any chance you are looking for any shorts, which is always tricky because we don't really have any information from the left side, and it's always better to make decisions based on the left, is that we want to see a little bit of a range. We want to see price kind of slowing down before turning. Okay, you want to see compression, you want to see weakness on price, and until kind of that starts to show up, there's no need to even aim for any short. And if it starts happening, be careful even with selling double tops in this situation, because there's always the risk of a new high just before a turn. Okay, so I would even try to actually catch the high as price is moving to the downside, instead of just trying to now sell a double top in here. That's kind of a little bit more of what I would prefer to do. Again, always pay attention to where actually these lows are reacting from. If it already made completely the move to fill that initial range, then maybe be careful with any other sales. If it kind of just pauses in the middle, that's maybe another opportunity to look for until price kind of fills in here. Okay, so those are just a few things to pay attention if by any chance you are looking for any reversal. If you're looking for more continuations, yeah, maybe wait for any kind of fake out, so then can open the door for you to continue to look for that long and continuation to the upside. DAX continue to do the same. New all-time highs created 1 or 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it's kind of 8, 7 of December, and that's exactly kind of what we have as well. Kind of a bit of a range. You can start seeing price ranging a little bit, and all of a sudden you have a big move to the upside, another kind of range, and then you have the turn. Right now we kind of managed to break these lows, but we are back into this overall range in here. However, we can see that we started to break some lows in here. Okay, so that's already some kind of good news. Good news, I mean, just in terms of reversals. Again, my brain always works more in terms of looking for reversals trades. But again, if you are looking for continuation, it's basically the same, but the opposite, which it will mean to maybe look for this demand zone that is still fresh below these lows, to look for that continuation to the upside, and at this point the likelihood is for price maybe to continue to go even higher in here. Okay, again, pay always attention to where were the previous levels, important levels in here, support, resistance. That always matters. That's just something to pay attention in here. This was a good supply, it reacted. There's maybe still something at the highs in there that price could go and react from. So we'll see what's going to happen in here on the DAX. If we're going to have a little bit more a correction in here, or we're going to finish the year, and next week also is going to be more bullish in here. So that's for the indices. Looking at the euro index, this was the range that we were looking for as well. Okay, so price had moved to the downside, and you're looking for price to maybe correct a little bit, and this is the most important barrier in here to look for. Okay, so initial price respected the base of it, and now we went a bit more to the extreme, and this barrier is basically the separation between maybe price going even higher or continue now to move to the downside from here and eventually challenging these lows, or even breaking these lows altogether and go even lower in here. Okay, so again, that was the zone that you're looking for. Price hold it. Okay, on Friday after the rally during the ECB, there you go. Then with the PMI, manufacturing services and manufacturing PMI, price just moved to the downside. There was already something that we paid attention to as well. There was already this break of a low on the way up, so that's always relevant data to look at in here, and there is maybe the chance now to create new lows in here, since we didn't really manage to break this structure in there. So that was something to pay attention to on the euro index, and we had a few of the euro pairs exactly moving like that, with a little bit of a correction during the beginning of the week, and then with the ECB also kind of confirmed a little bit more higher, and then yesterday it made a big correction to the downside. I'm talking about, for example, euro, Aussie, and euro CAD as well, aside from the euro in here. And then we have the N pairs, or the N index in this case. Again, price created at the double top in there. There's maybe more room to the upside. Again, it's going to be interesting. Is it Tuesday? Maybe the Bank of Japan meeting to see what the governor is going to do or say in terms of the monetary policy in Japan. Again, there has been a big move in here since they lost. Since they last had this, or since this meeting happened last time. So let's see what's going to happen in here, and how the market is going to react to it. So maybe next week the N pairs are going to be on the radar again for a potential move in here. So let's see if we're going to break the highs, it's going to hold it, or if it's going to move to the downside. There is a slightly break to the downside in here. Okay, this is a small engulf to the downside, which can lead for price to continue and maybe get back to this range in here. Okay, so there's maybe that possibility. We kind of fake out a little bit this level. Again, there's always a chance to create new highs and getting a bit closer to this extreme. On the other side, yes, we do have this engulf down. There's this level in here that's still kind of fresh. Price got really close to that level in there, so looking slightly higher. So yeah, let's see if this is going to be a continuation out to the downside or not, to kind of feel this level in here. Yeah, VIX is kind of starting to slow down a little bit as well, and then the yields, which just continue to move lower. Again, we are looking at this range in here. There's maybe a little bit of a correction still in this demand zone, which is still fresh. Aside from that, a lot has been compressed, maybe a little bit in here, which is basically where price kind of is approaching. But yeah, most of it is compressed and may go all the way to challenge this low in here. Okay, so that's maybe the next zone that you're looking to see price going towards to. We'll see that will be 3.6% in there, which then can go all the way to maybe 3.2 or something like that. Right, this was another one that we predicted. Like the 5% was at a really good level at the extreme in there, so it reacted from it. It created a pattern actually to look for the reversal, and since then has been just moving lower. Yes, and during the FOMC it was kind of another continuation to the downside in there. Yeah, so looking at the individual currency pairs. Okay, so starting with the euro dollar. All right, looking at the euro dollar, where were we last week, right? So we noticed that during the NFP, 1 week ago, the price reacted perfectly from this demand zone, which on the higher time frame is not really visible. For example, on the 4-hour time frame is not visible. It's just in alignment with this last high, which is an important level. Kind of makes it as a bigger zone in there. That on the lower time frame, we can actually see where it reacted from. Right? Can we mention that it was already a good level? Price could still fake out the low and get maybe a little bit more deeper into this one of these two zones in here as well, but apparently kept respecting that level. And what else did we mention is that we were looking for price to break above these highs in order to make then the move to the upside in there. Okay, so that was basically what we were looking for in this particular case. Okay, so that's basically open browser. Yeah, that was basically what we were aiming to look towards to. Okay, let me just actually bring this one in here 1 second. Let's give me a second, guys. Okay, so let's go back to this. Okay, so basically what I was mentioning is this one. Okay, so basically that was what I was looking for on the euro, and we talked about that also last week, which was to see if price was about to break above this zone, the A level, which was this high in here, which was basically the last that created that level. That was something that we were paying attention to, and if that happened, then we had all this compression to look for the euro to move to the upside. Okay, so that's basically what we were looking for. In this particular case, we also mentioned that maybe this level in here was already a break to the upside, exactly to start demonstrating some signs of or weakness from the bears, and looking for some strength from the buyers in here. Okay, so that's exactly what happened, and we're looking for these two levels, and eventually to fill this range, and from there was maybe still opportunities to look for a short. Okay, it will be basically somewhere in here, okay, at the end of this compression at the price of this level, or then exactly at the extreme. As you can see, I already have this white line in there, and it will be kind of a little bit more into there, and that was still a zone that's maybe still fresh on the euro. So that was something that we were looking for on the euro dollar, and that's basically what happened, right? So as you can see, we have the break in here to the upside. This was during the CPI. That's when I also mentioned on the dollar index that we had that kind of confirmation when it broke to the downside on the CPI. On the euro dollar, that's basically the move, and then something that we were looking for, of course, it was for price to maybe retest this level, but we already had this touch that was kind of the reaction from that level. Okay, so we have one, again another one, we have that other range in here. Okay, so we have the pattern again being created around here, where you have the move to the upside, fake out, the reaction, and then price goes higher, and then all of a sudden you have this next demand zone, which is basically where the euro dollar reacted from. And then there's maybe, or could have been, the possibility of looking for maybe retesting here and to go higher, which never really happened with the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. There was again maybe another Quasimodo pattern in here, but it was a quite interesting move. Again, the pattern of looking for the reversal that lasted 1 or 2 days until on Wednesday there was that move to the upside. Again, compression was filled, Okay, and no surprise that the move was quite quick because everything in here basically was compressed. There was not exactly any sell orders in here to hold price to the downside. So that's basically what we had in this case. Okay, and now, as we mentioned, there was maybe a level in here to look for a short. Okay, that was maybe the first zone to pay attention to a potential short on the euro dollar. Again, we can go into more detail to actually see where maybe that level would have been. And apparently this is the upper, this is the upper zone just before the drop, when we have maybe this level in here, which can be interesting, which is a zone that is actually in alignment with the break of that. And then we may have a little bit of this level and then the extreme. Okay, yeah, this one basically already reaction from that level, and we have, yeah, the base of that. Okay, as you can see, basically one of the last tools in there to react from there, and something here, and then the other zone above that level. Everything looks compressed in here as well. Okay, we have maybe a little bit of this supply level in there, but it's already kind of reaction for all these highs, so it's a bit weak, not exactly the best, and everything in here would be compressed, and then it will take us into the other extreme, which is basically this last space that is still fresh in here above this high. Sometimes this level is not really close, but price will tend to go above this level in here. Also, we have this left shoulder, which is also in there as well. So that's kind of the two levels that we'll be looking for on the euro. Personally, it will be any kind of reactions maybe within this level after we take this, or then goes all the way to the extreme into that level to look for any kind of sell opportunity in there. Okay, so that's basically what we had in this particular case. Okay, so we can extend a little bit, and this is actually a good exercise for you guys to do, is to go to the left side, try to see exactly where the levels would be without really spoiling with the zone on the right side, and then be surprised as you start going to the right side. Then you start seeing where actually price reacted from, and then you can actually be precise when you do that. Right now, you can actually maybe draw a line in here. As you can see, this is a level where actually the euro dollar reacted from, and now you can go to the left and try to see. Okay, so I had 2-3 levels in mind, which was maybe one of them in here. Okay, 1 second, where were they? Yeah, it was at the bottom, kind of, but then a bit at the extreme. So if those were the levels that I was looking for in the first place, okay, a little bit, there's not exactly anything, but let's actually hold it to the upside, and then actually left kind of a demand zone in here, which basically kind of where these guys kind of got really close to that. All right, so let's actually see where price actually reacted from. Right, so we go here. Where are we? Damn it. Where are we? Why am I so far away? Yeah, I think I have a gap on 1 minute time frame on euro dollar, so I'm not really going to be able to see the zone on 1 minute at this point, but you get the point of what I mentioned in terms of the exercise. Basically, you can go, yeah, this is where we are. Okay, and basically price reacted exactly from the extreme of this supply level. Okay, so again, you start repeating this exercise 20 times, 30 times, or 50 times, and eventually you're going to start understanding exactly where price actually tend to react from. Okay, on the left side. So you first mark your levels in here, pay attention which levels have already been taken on the way down, and then you mark the ones that you think they are still fresh. Pay attention maybe to some support resistance or whatever, or some supply levels that are still fresh, that price hasn't really touched it, that are kind of relevant because they broke actually some structure, and then you're going to start looking to see how price actually then goes and reacts, and where it does actually price react to. Okay, so we have your hypothesis, your scenario prediction, and then you have the confirmation of where actually price reacted from. And sometimes price will maybe just pause in here, and you think, okay, maybe this is the most important level, but then only then in the future, then actually price goes and makes the bigger move into there. Okay, so that's why you can go maybe 1 year back and start doing something like that. Just kept scrolling down. You can maybe analyze this, but then you can, yeah, just pay attention to that level in there. So again, that's basically what we had on the euro. Can actually remove this one. Okay, yep, that reaction again, in terms of targets. Okay, this is actually a good question straight away, right? Which actually makes everything together. It's a good lesson. So okay, so we're looking for price to, what did I mention, right? So we're looking for price to get one of these two zones. Okay, second. Okay, so to react from here, so we're looking for price to react from inside this level. All right, and what I mentioned is that yes, this may be a good level to start looking for price to then perhaps making the big move to the downside. Correct. And that could have been one of the scenarios. Again, paying attention to where the low is reacting from. Is there any more room to downside? Yes or no? Again, in our time frame, the reaction is perfect. As we could see on 4 hour time frame, price hasn't really reached the final zone, which opens the possibility for price to maybe still go lower and take this low. Okay, so that's why there's maybe the chance of maybe euro actually making all the way the move to downside, and maybe can take dollar index to kind of retest that those highs as well. Okay, so that's just point one. But if you actually are looking for the target in the moment, so you have maybe the expectation of looking for something like this. But when price is actually approaching the level, and that's why approach also matters, and you start seeing a price evolving in here. Okay, so basically this money is taken. Okay, so price kind of respected really nicely this level in here. And continues, now it creates a new structure. Again, price basically reacts up from the previous level support resistance. And where is the next demand zone? Right? Where is the first target that we should be aiming as price reacts from there? Right? Basically, this is the demand zone. Right? Basically, this would have been your first target in here. Okay. This is basically a little bit of after the reaction. So we go down, as you mentioned, kind of react from kind of a demand zone in there. Price goes upwards, breaks new structure, reacts from the previous structure and goes higher. And now this is basically the structure that is left behind. And that's the target. That's which we target. Any reaction from here, this is your target. Okay, there's no point in looking for a bigger target at this point, unless this level starts being broken, and then maybe you can look for something bigger. And then you continue to move upwards. You kind of have your next level in here, okay, to look for. Maybe this one was a bit left behind. Maybe have a little bit of that level. Again, this was maybe quasi moderate. Price should have respected. It didn't. Now we have the reaction here, and now this is the next target. And then you continue just to move along like that. You go. Now you start breaking some lows. Okay, so you kind of start to create a little bit of structure in here, and you start breaking some lows. So that's kind of the first time in here that you start breaking lows. As you can see, what also is happening is that we start approaching that interesting level on the left side that we're looking for in the first place as well, exactly at the extreme of the highs. Okay, so we start breaking some lows in there. Maybe we can draw some kind of trend line as well eventually, see if something is broken as well. Okay, and eventually that also happens. Again, if you are still not confident about here, okay, just because you start breaking some lows doesn't mean that you are automatically looking for the shorts. You need to pay attention to also where price is reacting on the left side. And then, okay, we have the first one. Then you kind of have a little bit more of a range. We have a little bit of a new low kind of being broken in there, but you're still kind of respecting this level. But then when you do finally have this move down, that's basically it. But as you can see, this was the new range, right? So we're looking for price now to fill this range in here. Okay, so basically, as you mentioned, this was the previous demand zone that now is in place in the bigger picture. The break of this low just takes us into this level, doesn't really take us all the way there. And also we had this previous level support resistance. So again, that's maybe a little bit of a close, again, may have reached target, but what we start having again is another break slightly of the low, right? So that's a good sign. Again, it still doesn't really break all the structure to downside, but starts breaking some lows. And something else that we have is that we have now this range that is open in here, because these highs, which we left this place open, we broke slightly this level, never close this level in here, and we left that zone behind. Okay, and that's exactly something that you want to pay attention to when you're looking for reversals, is something like that. And then there you go, right? We kind of respect this level, we can maybe track it. If you're still not really confident, as soon as you start breaking again to the downside in here, you can look for that. You can start looking for those shorts. Now is the moment where price is reacting from the highs. We start looking for the PA. Again, maybe the best scenario would have been still to look for this level to be broken, but to be honest, this high here is actually the last one created after the break of that. So as soon as we start breaking this level, we can actually start thinking about maybe sells, and in particular, since price left this level behind, we start breaking again. Yeah, you can literally look for for sales in there. And then you have the reaction again from the supply level in here, which is kind of good, and the rest is history. That's when then price just moved to downside yesterday with the services and manufacturing PMI, in French first and then German, then the rest is history in there, right? So again, and this is actually a typical move that happens around these services and manufacturing PMI, which is in the morning around the London Open. It's exactly the type of a move that we're going to see, and it's quite interesting to look at. So yeah, that's just again an exercise to pay attention to, and now maybe to follow and wait for the right confirmations to look for the trade. Yes, we continue to have a little bit more of a move to the downside. We can't keep respecting this demand zone. Sometimes it's going to be a bit tricky. Maybe as a confirmation, it will be even better to see this level being taken before the sell. So that's why, again, trading is dynamic and it's not black and white or so simple like that. But in terms of the PI, then we can literally look for that. Price started to provide that information as well in there. So yeah, that's a little bit of just of the euro. This is again just smaller time frame. Again, you can do the reverse at the bottom to look for exactly that opportunity. And all of a sudden, as we know, these targets in here start to be taken, and we start looking for price to now fill initially this range, because everything in here now has been taken on the way up. When you start following the move to the upside, we noticed that every single demand basically was taken, and now yeah, and now price just was free to fall. So that's euro dollar. So what can you expect for next week? Like, we're looking for price to maybe fill this range in here, which if it comes actually all the way down, then maybe continue to the downside, or is going to continue to move higher. Again, this is going to be interesting. Last week, as we talked about it, we mentioned that this level, yes, was still fresh, so there's a chance of looking for a sell. Now price has kind of reacted from it. It's going to be interesting just to see what may happen around this level. Something that we could see is that dollar index actually broke a structure, and the euro never really broke that structure in there. So that's interesting. There's a little bit of a difference between what happened on the dollar index and euro dollar. Okay, so dollar index went above the respective low that was created around at this time, and the euro dollar kept respecting that level and now created a double top, sorry, and the dollar index actually created a new low in there. Okay, that's just something it's just something different that happened in there. So to be honest with you, I'm going to continue just to look in within this range. I could see potential for the euro dollar to go slightly higher, the same way that I could again continue to see more to the downside. But again, as I mentioned, when you are in the middle, I'm looking more for trade the ranges, and that was basically the range that we were looking for last week. It was to fill this price, and it happened exactly as we kind of mentioned in there. Pound, yeah, pound, it was slightly different. Pound, I didn't really like anything in particular. In the beginning of the week, I did see the compression. I didn't really like where price was either reacting from the highs, neither the lows. So it was not exactly a pair that I followed that much last week. Really good reaction now from this level of supply in there that happened kind of last week. Again, there's maybe more room to the upside. That could be a possibility as well. Not really sure if this is kind of the final destination or kind of final zone on the pound before any kind of big move to the downside. I do like where this will reacted from, so we'll see if we're going to eventually fake out all this structure before any final move. We are indeed compressing in here. Price can easily kind of respect this level or back to this level and go higher, which on the other side can even fake out and go slightly lower. So yeah, the zone in here, again, if you are just asking me between last week highs, which I didn't really like them, and where this size now reacted from, I like this size, right? So for me, I'm okay with that. If prices want to continue to move down from here, perfect. I wouldn't be super surprised if that happens. There's maybe still opportunities to look in here for another sell. But let's see if price does manage to break a bit below this structure, which then takes us into the next zone in there. So that's something to look at on the pound. Euro pound was another one that we were looking for. This was actually a trade that we predicted 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, kind of beginning of December, when price was still in here. We mentioned that in order for us to look for any kind of longs from this level, we'd like to see some kind of price slowing down or creating a range. It did. It kind of reacted. It fake out that so it created the range, it slightly broke the highs in there, and then it fake out and it filled the range, okay, which is basically this level in here in the first phase, and that will be kind of the level. We never managed to break above this level. If we did that, maybe there could be a chance to go slightly higher, even though we need to pay attention to this previous level of support resistance in here. Okay, so that's maybe something to bear in mind if by any chance we do break above it, but a lot of this has been compressed already. So yeah, the break of these highs is something that I'll be looking to see if then there's a potential to move higher. The break of the reaction where this was reacted from, I was looking personally a little bit more to the downside, but in the bigger picture it reacted perfectly from this previous lows in here. So that's maybe kind of a left shoulder to take into consideration. And the question mark is also if it's just now going to continue to move lower, eventually take out these lows and get closer to this next structure in here, or if price is going to find anything in here that's going to now push price again to the upside, and maybe you could go all the way until here. Okay, so that's something. Not really going to use all that compression. There's maybe a pause in here to pay attention to. Okay, so that's a little bit more of the levels that you're looking on the Euro pound. Aussie dollar, again we are looking at this range. That's the bigger picture that we are looking for. Last week or this week that price respected quite nicely these lows and now continues to go higher. Again, maybe the final destination is still not in here. There's maybe a little bit more to the upside in here to look for before any attempt to move lower, or eventually could even take this double top and start getting a little bit more closer to that level. Okay, again, we are in the middle, and if you are in the middle, again, we trade range by range or zone by zone, and that's basically the one that you're looking for within these lows, and price kind of reacted quite nicely from that level, and it just continues to move slightly higher. If you do kind of break below that, maybe price can go a bit more towards this level before the move upwards. We'll see. Okay, we'll see what's going to happen. Euro Aussie actually provided maybe an interesting one as well. So we're looking for price to go below these lows. Initially kind of still respecting it, and now finally kind of it went there. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of whatever is going on in here, it looks like this has already been reacted from quite a lot. Even though there's maybe this fresh level, and maybe there was this one in here. Which is maybe where actually price is reacting from. Yeah, fair enough. Aside from that, maybe there's a continuation here, and if the Aussie dollar does continue to move higher, maybe this Euro Aussie is going to continue to move lower. Now we do have all of this compression. The moment that we finally turn, don't be surprised if you eventually feel this move quite quickly. There's maybe another leg down before maybe that turn to happen. Okay, start creating a little bit of a few lows in here. There's maybe one last leg down to then push price or kind of reverse. Let's see how price may react from these levels in here on the Euro Aussie. And then the end pairs, right? So this was another one that you're looking for. Dollar yen to continue to have this move to the downside. Again, all this is maybe the biggest range that you're looking for. Definitely price will bounce in between those levels. This basically beginning of last year, okay, January, end of last year, beginning of last year, and this is 1 year of data on the dollar yen in here. Okay, again, there was a lot of pressure with the 150 mark, then retested the double top, and we'll see now with the BOG on Tuesday, if not mistaken, what's going to happen and which direction is going to go towards to. Okay, so this was definitely a zone that you're looking for. And yes, is price eventually going to... Yeah, this is a nice demand zone, to be honest, where actually price is reacting right now in here after taking that low. But price could eventually continue to move lower. Bigger picture, I could even see eventually price going below this level, which basically already broke that level in there, and maybe there's something in there to look for. But yeah, again, this is higher time frame. We're looking at 4-hour time frame in there. That one was okay. Maybe something in here as well to look for. Okay, again, this range maybe just a pause in here before making another continuation to the downside. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what may happen in here. It's the same with the N index, right? If by any chance the N index is ready to start moving lower, maybe this one eventually is going to go higher. Also, depending on what the dollar may do, paying attention, also it's going to affect the dollar yen in this case. The remaining of the yen pairs, euro yen moving slightly to the downside. The main difference is that this one left a little bit of a gap in there. Okay, it just reacted basically from the base of these lows, not even getting closer to the supply level, which may be a good level to look for a short in the future. Okay, we may create this double top now. Price now reacted from the base of this. We may create eventually new lows, and whenever we can retrace back to this level, that's maybe a good opportunity to look for a short, again depending on where these lows are going to be reacting from in here. Okay, so bigger picture, we may which we turned in here. So let's see if we have that confirmation or not. At this point, it's still kind of holding these lows in here. We did manage to break this bigger picture level in there. The reaction from the left side is okay, but again, the continuation may be the best possibility in here, which eventually can take us closer to this low in here, and then within this range we'll see what euro yen may do. But this value is still fresh. Okay, so that's something to bear in mind. If you see the euro yen going there, that can be a possibility to look for it. Pound yen, yeah, it's another one. Got a bit more closer to this low. Again, kind of left still the supply in there, but reacted from the base of this level in there. Already managed to actually break a new low, and it's kind of same story as the euro yen. It may take us a little bit more work in here, and it may then eventually go into that level. Okay, where this pound yen is reacting from, it's a really good extreme in that zone. Okay, we have this kind of approach or compression like that, and eventually again in here it can be a possibility to look for, or maybe it already happened, for the trend continuation setup, which may take us into this next zone in here on the pound yen. Again, the yen pairs next week may be one of those that should be on your radar based on the BOG as well, in terms of opportunities to look for. And then we have, yeah, you can go into dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, this was also something that we were paying attention to. Okay, so price was bouncing in here. This high in here was the important level for us to pay attention to. If we had managed to break above that, there's maybe more room to the upside. If we kept respecting it, then the expectation was to see dollar CAD to approach this level. Sorry, in here. Okay, so everything in here looks like compressed. There's maybe a little bit of a zone in there, but this was already kind of a break of that low. So we're looking actually eventually for the dollar CAD to go all the way below this level, and then we'll see if it cracks a bit from that level or starts going a little bit more into here. So that was the prediction also that we were expecting. As price kept respecting this level, then the continuation was quite naturally in there. Again, bigger picture, we're looking for more move to downside, and that's when I mentioned if you are in the middle, yes, we are trading range by range, but if you do want to increase your expectation based on a potential target, in this particular case it will be to look for that target to the downside in here. Okay, because again, that's the direction that we were recently. There is still space to fill, and that's kind of the approach that you would like to take in this particular case. And then looking at the euro CAD. Okay, so euro CAD, this was exactly one that we also mentioned last week. So we're looking for this type of opportunity. The first thing that you wanted to see, which only happened on Monday, it was the break of this structure. Actually, I think we already had broken slightly that low, but this one in here was literally the confirmation. And then you're looking similar to the euro. If we had broken above these highs, which we're starting to show some weakness in here, then you're looking for price to fill this compression and eventually for price to do that. Okay, so that's actually the prediction we made in here. Okay, so that's exactly what we're looking for on the euro CAD in this particular case. Okay, so we saw the break of this low as an engulf to the downside, and then you're looking for actually price to retrace from here. This was a really nice reaction in here. Okay, so that was a really interesting reaction from this level. And then this is basically what we're looking for, to look for a long until to fill this range, and then eventually to start looking for a sell in here. This was also a daily level, so that's why we're looking in particular to that level to look for a turn. And again, the confirmation was in here to the downside first, but retracement was quite natural, and then eventually continue to look for price to go even lower. This is exactly basically what happened in here on the euro card. Right, so that's basically what ended up happening. The only thing that yeah, so price kind of retested this level, so the touch is in there. Okay, then we did manage to start breaking this high, kind of confirmation, starts looking higher. And this was the only thing that was missing a little bit, is that I was looking for the break in here. They call it kind of a zone 2 type of a move. We're always looking for the fake out of this low, but I would have liked to see a bit more like a deeper retracement. Okay, I was looking for price to get a bit more closer to this level, and that's kind of where I was looking for the long. And since price is pausing there, then I never really end up getting filled in this first trade in here. And sometimes that happens. Okay, which we were looking, most important thing is for price to actually break this level, and then maybe can find some opportunities in there. Sometimes price doesn't really go all the way to fill this next range before making the move to the upside. Yeah, that's okay. And then price just continued to move higher. Meanwhile, with the news, the FOMC, ECB, and so on, and there you go. It filled the range and it went all the way towards that level. Again, as I mentioned, that was also a daily zone in here that was still fresh, so that was another aspect that we paid attention to. And meanwhile, price just continued to move lower after reacting from that. And then again, with the services and manufacturing PMI, we just sell off on the euro, as we could see in there, and we kind of end up closing the week already breaking this low in there. So we'll see if from here now it's going to continue to move to the downside, or is going to have a little bit of a correction again, maybe with the dollar CAD moving also a bit more to downside. Maybe there's still more weakness also on the euro to look for, with the euro index also maybe to challenge those lows. So maybe this could be that situation of looking for lower. Again, maybe something in here could continue if price does want to make a little bit of a retracement before now taking this compression. Again, we still need to break below this low. Okay, we haven't really broken below this low in here. If you do, then you can go slightly lower, and yeah, you can go from there. So yeah, that's a little bit of on the euro card. Really nice prediction that we had in here. Yeah, that we saw. So moving along in here, so that's done. Again, maybe continuation to the downside. That's kind of what you're looking for. Dollar franc Swiss, this is another one. Like, so we were looking at this level. So the last low was still reacting above this, right? And that's something that we paid attention to, and that could be the level to go higher. But to be honest, we mentioned that there was still a gap in here within then into this demand zone, and that was exactly what we were more looking for on dollar franc Swiss. We did manage to break this high, so that was something that we paid attention to, and there was two scenarios that we were looking for. Okay, so we were looking for price to either respect a little bit this level in here. Just 1 second. Potentially go here and go higher, or then just literally completely fake out these lows and get into the structure that we were looking for, which is kind of in there. So even before that, there was already a potential short opportunity in here after the fake out and after kind of price started respecting that level, and especially after the break of this, which is kind of with the CPI in there. We're looking for price now to fill this range. So again, maybe not the easiest trade to take, but there was maybe that opportunity to look for a short now in the lower time frame towards this level. And after that, that's when we're starting to then look for potential longs. Again, there is an initial reaction from this level. If you're looking at targets, again, this basically retest of this previous level. That's the only target that you're looking for at this point. You're not really looking for price to do this straight away. we want to start seeing some weakness. And something that starts happening is that we manage to break now below this low. We start faking out these highs, and the weakness that you're looking for or that you want to see, it starts happening. Okay, so we start breaking some highs in here. We haven't really reached the final destination with this low. Okay, there's maybe a little bit more room to the downside closer to this level, which then happens finally in here. And it's going to be interesting to see if this is now at the beginning of a reversal on the dollar franc Swiss or not. Okay, so basically we did manage to break above these highs. Level in here is okay, but maybe price could actually continue to move higher from here. This is a valid demand zone, kind of in alignment with that bigger picture in here. So let's see if price is going to create a new low before maybe any kind of turn, or if this is enough and price may challenge again and to go to the upside. Okay, so again, since we are getting really close to this extreme, that could be one of the levels to look more for a potential big trade in here, which kind of will take the dollar to the upside, which then maybe takes the euro to the downside. We'll see if that's still on the cards for now. Okay, then bigger picture, maybe break of trend line can happen, can help, but at this point, kind of the range is kind of still this level in here that we are looking for on the dollar franc Swiss. I like that we managed to break that high. I like that price is starting to show some weakness. I like that we start having kind of a double bottom in here. Then you have the fake out, and yeah, so price starts to turn slightly. That may be still one more last attempt below these lows to look for it. So we'll see. But it's starting to build up quite nicely, dollar franc Swiss, which is something that we actually anticipated for quite a long time as well. And then we have gold. Gold was another one that we looked for. Okay, so again, the reaction, it was quite nice. We had starting to create some structure in there. Okay, so that's basically what we were also looking on gold in here. Price kind of reacting from faking out that low. So initially when price was still around this level, there's still the chance of a fake out. We saw the first attempt to go higher. Okay, so breaking a bit of this mid-range structure as well. Okay, something that we noticed, really big spike in there. It didn't really manage to break this level, but then when eventually we start breaking in here, that's kind of the one opportunity that we start looking for. Again, gold didn't really react all the way until here, but it did react from the trend line that was just broken, and this level in here it worked out perfectly for that long opportunity on gold. Okay, so that's exactly kind of what happened in there. So yes, we did manage to break above that trend line, start breaking above these highs, and the reaction from that trend line, it worked out really nicely just before the FOMC, and all of a sudden the big move to the upside. But again, we want to see a range, some weakness, price starting showing up or showing some signs of reversal, and then the big turn. Again, this is a good level where price end up reacting from, and this was the range that you're looking to fill. Okay, and for price to take these highs. I mean, after that, I think that was a level that we talked about also last week. For a potential sell, it would be within this structure, and price again starts ranging, starts breaking slightly the lows in here. Good range, and there you go. Now this may be just a little bit of a correction, or this may actually be an opportunity to look for a continuation out to the downside. Again, bigger picture, the bigger range that maybe want to fill is still in there. So these lows may have not really reached the final zone, which then opens the door for a potential continuation to the downside in here. Now bear in mind we also broke the high, so maybe there's a chance to go slightly there as well. Again, now we are in the middle, so yeah, we'll see. But yes, if you do start identifying these ranges, that can help you with your targets, which is great in that sense. Yeah, so that's gold in this particular case. Maybe more room to the downside until you get closer to this level can be something to pay attention to. And then oil, yep, another one. Okay, so that's exactly another one that we looked for. Okay, so initially on oil, as we look in the bigger picture, we're looking for that demand zone in there on the left side. Initially you had this low we had that structure that we're looking for price to hold it and to continue to push lower. This low didn't really close that gap. It was similar to dollar franc Swiss. So we're looking for price to still manage to break a new low in there, and then two scenarios in here, right? Because price was breaking in here. There's maybe a little bit more of a move to the downside, or this will be the perfect scenario to look for price to now fill out this range in here. That's kind of what you're looking for longs on oil. Last week, again, the commodities, they were quite nice. Gold and oil, for example, as the two examples that we were looking for. So that kind of worked quite nicely in here. So the gap that I was looking for, as we remember also from last week, is that price was still respecting around this level. It's quite similar to dollar franc Swiss, and there was still all this space in here for price to go towards 2 before maybe making that attempt to go higher. Again, this is the test of these lows. This, if by any chance you are looking for a level to expect some kind of big reversal, this can be one of those. Okay, this which is the extreme of this move. If you then break below this level, then it's a different story. You can start looking more on the left side. But for now, and depending on how price actually kind of react from, this can be an interesting one. So we start to break this trend line. Again, we had a little bit of liquidity in here. And there we go. Now, the question is to see what may happen. Again, price is still reacting slightly from within this level. Again, this high has never really got to the extreme of this zone, which is basically where these guys actually end up reacting to. Okay, we have that high into here, and that's going to be question mark. Is it going to move lower or going to slightly break more to the upside? Eventually we can go one more time lower and then maybe making that extra move higher in here. Okay, so price may go all the way closer to this level one more time before making that move. I would like to see new highs being created in here before that kind of retracement, until we have maybe the move to the upside getting into this level. For example, if you do break above here, that can be interesting. It can open the door for us to fill then all this price. We can retrace after that and go. So we'll see if that's going to happen, or just a small break into here and then kind of move lower, pause a little bit, and then kind of finally turn and go with it. We're creating some kind of trend lines as well. Okay, this level in here is actually maybe still fresh, so that can be also zone to look for that deep retracement. Yeah, so that's basically a potential possibility in here on oil to look for. All right, so to conclude, we look at crypto, which also continues to move to the upside. Okay, continues. I mean, it closed the gap a little bit of this range. After that big move to the downside, we kind of managed to break slightly these lows, so can be maybe a possibility to continue to move lower. We're looking for price to have some kind of reaction on the retest of this level, first and foremost, and we'll see within this range what exactly are we going to be looking at. Again, total crypto market is still reacting from here. Bitcoin is already reacting from that level in there. So let's see what's going to happen in here. If this is some kind of a bit more of a retracement in here, or by any chance the buyers are going to still be in control and they are going to finish the year in a positive and challenging even more to the upside in there. So yeah, that's basically the range where price has been trading, basically above this high into there, which again can take us a bit more into this level as well. So we'll see if that's going to happen on BTC. At the highs, there's still something in here that can be used, okay, to look for short. So if by any chance price does want to go a little bit high in here, you can fake out this now mid-range highs in here and then eventually move to the downside. We almost we almost reached all this level. Yeah, kind of reacting from this demand zone. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so we'll see what's going to happen in there. And Ethereum also kind of more of the same. Okay, reacted exactly from that supply level, based off that level in here. So yeah, we'll see what's going to happen within this range. Ethereum actually managed to break slightly below that level, which takes us a bit more into this previous level support resistance. In here, it's basically where price reacted from. but we can maybe go slightly lower. Again, we'll see what's going to happen here. On the other side, it could go even slightly higher. Maybe fake out this double top, go into there before I move to the downside. So yeah, something just to pay attention to. And Savannah actually managed to create a new high in here, came all the way back into this range once again. Savannah actually closed the range that you're looking for. So it reacted from there. Now it created a new high. We're looking for actually Savannah to get closer to this maybe $80 mark, a bit more higher, but it's getting closer to this interesting structure, which can lead to a little bit of a correction now at the base of this level, or if by any chance wants to continue to go higher, and it will. We still need breaks of lows, to be honest, in the bigger picture. So this one still respected that level. We start breaking something in here. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how price may react around this level. Yeah, somewhere in there can be quite interesting, to be honest. It's already a break. Yeah, it's already a reaction from there, to be honest. But the base of it, as you can see, when you do break below it, can overtest, this level in here is quite useful. Okay, it's quite important. The price tends to react from it quite nicely. Okay, it's not just the base of this previous support resistance, it's also the low that actually managed to break that level, which then actually created this zone in here as well, in alignment. So yeah, that was a really good level, the supply zone. Really nice reaction in there, and then if it wants, it can go a bit more into the extreme of this flow. But yeah, good reaction from there, to be honest. So yeah, that's basically it. Within this range, I could see it maybe going slightly lower again. In crypto, I think we may range for a while now before any kind of move to the upside again next month in January. That's mostly the prediction, is that when you're going to have finally the outcome of the ETF situation. So that's going to be a big catalyst for the crypto market. So we'll see what's going to be the outcome of that the procedure. So yeah, and that's it for me, guys. Interesting. Last week it was quite volatile. It was an interesting week of trading with indices which we challenging the highs that already broke all-time highs. NASDAQ most likely is going to do the same. Unless we are into this double top, I think we may have actually a new high be created before any turn, and maybe it's going to complete the year or finish the year in a positive and enthusiastic move in there until maybe in January we may have a turn. And we'll see what may happen after that. So that's a little bit of what we have. Commodities also maybe ranging or maybe turning to the upside from where it is right now. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting. With that being said, guys, thank you very much. Again, feel free to comment or to ask any questions. I'm not going to be doing any more live stream next Saturday. It's going to be basically the end of the week. There's not going to be any predictions for the week ahead with Christmas. So I'm going to actually take the time, keep working behind the scenes. I will be sharing so much more content next year. So yeah, I hope you're going to get value from it. Feel free to ask or to provide any feedback as well. I'm really looking forward for 2024. I think it's going to be a great year. Interesting projects. And all the best. So happy holiday season for everyone. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year if you don't speak before that. Yeah, hope 2023 was a year of success for all of you, and 2024 to be even greater, even bigger. Yep, we are in control. We just need to put in the work, focus on the process, and the outcome is going to follow. Thank you. Bye bye. Have a good one.